Welcome to Dreamland, a program dedicated to an examination of areas in the human experience not easily nor neatly put in a box. Things seen at the edge of vision, awakening a part of the mind as yet not mapped, and yet things every bit as real as breathe but don't see. This is Dreamland. Good evening. It's Sunday evening, and this is another Dreamland program. I'm Art Bell. We are blessed this week with a full visit from Linda Moulton Howe. Linda Howe has been our reporter on the Dreamland program since its inception and way back to the previous program we did called Area 2000. And I think you're really going to enjoy her. I would like to announce the addition of a couple of new affiliates this week, too.
Anyways, how are you guys doing? It's February 17th, 2026. My name is Jason, and this is my show, Dirt Road Rants, my second episode. I actually wasn't going to do this. I was downstairs. I got done working, and I thought, I don't have anything to talk about. Even though I thought about it since my last episode, I just, thought about, I got to write everything down. What am I going to talk about? I kind of have a plan of what I eventually want to do, which is having call-ins and interactions with the audience and having guests on. I don't have an audience yet. I have one guest lined up, but I kind of want to wait until I have, a little more knowledge of what I'm doing, a few more episodes under my belt. And I didn't want to do the podcast. I was downstairs. I was done working for the day, and I thought, well, I'm talking to no one. I don't really have a plan. I just know that I want to do a podcast, and even though I'd thought about it since the last one of things that I would talk about, and I kind of had some ideas and was going different directions, and I almost did it. I got to set up this little flag in the background, which is just a cheap Amazon thing, so you don't see. I'm in my new office, which is my son's old bedroom now that he moved out with his grandma. And instead of looking at a wall, I thought the flag would be nice because I am a patriot and I like flags and that sort of thing. I mean, even my little mouse thing and whatever. I like Americana. I like flags. I like patriotism. I love our country. I think it's the greatest country on God's green earth. But anyways, so I was down there and it's Tuesday. I should do the podcast on Tuesdays because Liz works late. I've got time to do it. And I thought of all the different things. I'm like, well, I could talk about this or that. And then I almost talked myself out of it. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do it. It's not worth it. I don't have an audience. I don't have a plan. I don't have things the way I want them. I don't have the microphone I want. I don't have my hair cut like I want. I don't have my clothes on that I want. And then it just clicked. I'm like, I got to do it. If I want to do a podcast, I got to get up here in front of this camera, talk to it. I am recording it right now. Eventually it'll be live, but my internet is kind of crappy and I don't know how that's going to work. I think next week I'm going to try to do everything live. And this is on YouTube and on Rumble. Rumble, it's Dirt Road Rants, all one word. And if you're watching on YouTube, it's YouTube Dirt Road Rants. I also have a go-kart channel, which is Isle Go-Kart Racing, and I'll have a link in the description. And right now it's just me, my coffee, my vape, and my dog Milo, which in the intro there will be a picture of Milo. He's my buddy. He's with me 24/7. Anyways, one of the interesting things that I did want to talk about, the Mandela effect. For those of you that don't know, let me share this screen here. Share this tab instead. Okay, what do I gotta do here? There we go. I'll make this a little bigger. The Mandela effect. It's, the Mandela effect is a phenomenon where large group of people collectively share the same false memory of an event or detail, often stemming from pop culture, branding, historical events, such as mistakenly believing Nelson Mandela died in prison in the 1980s, and so on. If you don't know what it is, you can look. There's a ton of YouTube videos. There's a lot of YouTube videos. There's a lot of information on the internet of different things, and you can go and you can find some of these and look for yourself. And here we have 10 examples of false memories. My internet's a little slow, not loading. But anyways, it's something where I'm not going into all that. That's not my intentions. We'll do this one. It's when you stumble across something new, such as we've all played Monopoly. Oh, am I sharing the screen? Let me get this back right. Okay, hold on. Stand by. Hold for processing. I screwed it up. All right. Monopoly. The Monopoly guy is a classic example of where to start and how to explain this. So what we have here, we've all played Monopoly, and the Mandela effect is you're presented with something and it's different than what you remember it as. In this case, many people don't remember the how do I say this? But the Monopoly guy had a monocle, and that's how we all remember it. However, when you go to look up Monopoly, they say the guy never had a monocle, and we're just remembering it incorrectly. That is the essence or the core of what a Mandela effect is, where you or me or a large group of people remember something a certain way, and the company, the product, or whatever it may be says, no, it never happened. It was never that way. You're wrong. What's going on here? Close. And that's the core of what the Mandela effect is. So if you don't know what it is, you should go look it up, check it out. And there's going to be a few items that you are affected by, that you remember one way, and the internet, the news, the younger people usually don't remember it, and they will tell you you're wrong. I'm going to tell you a story about an incident that happened in our own house. Let me see if I can find it here. Stand by. All right. I'm looking for another page. Okay, is this one sharing? All right, Fruit Loops. Now, this is my own personal experience I'll tell you another story after this one. So, I was talking about Fruit Loops in my house with the family, and we occasionally had bought Fruit Loops. And what had happened, we had a box of Fruit Loops, and I was talking to Liz, my wife, about how Fruit Loops I was talking to her about Mandela effect, and that's what I brought up. And we had a box of Fruit Loops. I said, it's no longer spelled F-R-O-O-T. I said, it's spelled F-R-U-I-T. And she said, no way. Well, we got the box out of the cupboard, and it was spelled Fruit. And she said, well, when did they change that? I said, it's always been that way according to the internet and the company. And she argued with me and said, no, it's supposed to be spelled Froot. And I said, I know. Well, the kids came in, and when I say kids, they're 20-something-year-old. They seen the box, looked at it, spelled it out, Fruit. And Liz and I explained to them that it had always been how it always had been spelt Fruot. And they kind of laughed and thought it was funny. And anyways, we put this box of cereal back in our cupboard. And it was a matter of, I don't know, 3-4 days. I grabbed the box of cereal out, and our box of cereal in our pantry had changed back to Fruot. I called our kid down, and I called Liz into the kitchen, and I had the box of cereal, and I told them, I said, this box of cereal changed back. And of course, they didn't believe me. They thought I was crazy, and it didn't. And I said it did. And I turned the box of cereal around, and Liz turned ghost white, and Jason was just in complete disbelief, started shaking his head. And oh my God, how did that happen? I said, well, we just experienced a real life Mandela effect. Now, here's the funny part is now it appears that Fruit Loops in particular, this Fruit Loops has never been changed, and it's always been Fruot. And so I had this whole experience with my family and the Mandela effect, and I had looked it up on the internet and talked to other people about the spelling Fruit, while our box said Fruit, and it was mixed. Some people remembered the Fruot, and some people said no, it was all Fruit. And then after our box of cereal changed in our own pantry to Fruot, and now the Mandela effect for the Fruit Loops is that the Fruit Loops changed back. So the Mandela effect undid itself, therefore creating a new Mandela effect. That happened in my own house, my own family members. I'm not making it up. It's that really happened. That was crazy. What causes this? I've looked on the internet, on YouTube, I've looked up different talk shows, all sorts of things, and nobody has very few have an explanation or try to explain it at all. There's, thousands of videos going into the different details of the Mandela effect itself. And I mean, there's hundreds, if not thousands of examples. Another one is I'll see if I can find it. The VW. Hold on, let me see if I can find this. We'll dig for it here. The VW symbol. Hold on. Mandela VW. Mandela effect. Okay, here we go. So if you look at this image, where's my open image in new tab? Oh, shit. Never mind. We're going to stay on this tab. We're going to stay on this tab and just look at this one. So if you talk to VW and you look it up on the internet, VW has always had this little slit in the middle. Well, I'm a VW guy. I was into building Volkswagen engines and dune buggies and everything, and I've never owned a VW. I owned a Beetle for a short bit, but that was just to steal the engine. But anyways, at one of the junkyards that I was taking a motor out of an old, I don't know, late 60s, early 70s VW. This is years ago, probably 8 years ago, 9, 10 years ago. No. Anyways, it was a long time ago, 12, 14 years ago when I got the emblem. I had pried it off the car. It looked just like this. And I know that because I kept the emblem for a long time. And when I started my business of metal art, let me change this. When I started my business of metal art, I grabbed my VW emblem and I took a picture of it and I used that to cut out metal VW symbols. And anyways, a friend of mine, I had made them and I gave them to some other VW enthusiasts that I knew at the time. And a friend of mine was still into them. I was kind of getting out of them. I had replaced my VW engine with a Chevy engine, and the original emblem I gave to a friend of mine that just collects old car stuff and whatever. Now I come to find out that this VW emblem, it supposedly always had the slit in the middle. So I'm like, well, I held it. I held it in my hand. I know for a fact that it didn't have the slit in the middle. I modeled it. I cut them out on my table. But anyways, so that's another one that I had experienced that I knew with 100% certainty was never there, is the slit. And Liz had one because she had bought, what are they called? Shoes. Skechers. We'll see if we can find this. Skechers. All right. Can you see this? Yeah, we're on the Skechers page. Here's the Mandela effect. Yeah. Anyway, she loves Skechers shoes, and she's always had them. Not always, but she had bought them. And why can't this be bigger? Anyways, hopefully, I'll make it bigger on here. Make it bigger on here. There, I make it bigger on there. Anyways, and I told her, I said it affected Skechers. I said there's no longer a T in Skechers. I said, what? What are you talking about? I said, yeah, the Mandela effect affected Skechers. And she said, I still have the box in my car in the trunk. She says, I know that there's a T in Skechers. Went up to the car in the trunk. Sure enough, there's the box, and it was spelled without the T. To this day, she still won't talk about it. She just says, I don't want to talk about it. Let me, you know what, I got to find a graph that I wanted to pull up, or a diagram, because I kind of have a theory. And it's a little wild of a theory, but I have one. And so I'm going to flip back over to this Art Bell and play this while I take a minute and find. I'm going to let this play a little bit while I find the web page, because I didn't prepare for this show at all. So stand by. I'm going to take me out of this and play this for a little bit. While I go over onto my tabs and find what I want to find. So stand by, hold for processing. And if you don't know who Linda Moulton Howe is, you should learn who Linda Moulton Howe is, because her stories are absolutely incredible. Stand by.
Matter of fact, KMMS AM, Bozeman, Montana. Welcome. That would be George Carter, the individual responsible for getting us on there in Bozeman. Thank you, George. And WBKV AM in West Bend, Wisconsin. And again, the responsible individual, Bob Bonifant. I hope I've got that correct, Bob. Thank you very much. Good to be on the air up in West Bend as well. So, with a couple of brand new affiliates, mentioning that we have a regular reporter will not be a familiar thing to you.
All right.
I guess
I think I found it.
the first thing we ought to do is at least get a brief sketch of Linda Moulton Howe. Linda, hi. Are you there?
Linda Moulton Howe. Everyone of her
Hi,
shows
Linda.
are great.
We do have a couple of new affiliates this week.
So anyways, I got to get where my cursor works on the page. I'll just put this up full size and then I'll talk about it. But my theory on this kind of goes in with simulation theory, which I guess I'm not a simulation theory guy. I don't know if it's real. A lot of things that I've learned not to rule things out, if that makes sense. So I've read and listened to a lot of shows and studied up on simulation theory, and there's a lot of evidence for it, in my opinion. On the Y Files, Jason Brashears of Archax he's a simulationist, and he does it because he thinks the entire world is a simulation, much like playing a video game, and space isn't real and the planets aren't real, and it's just projected out in front of us as we walk around. And a little far out there for me, but I can't say that he's wrong, and I can't say and won't say that he's right. I should have made myself notes. Anyways, we're gonna jump over to this timeline thing because, in my opinion, it's the only thing that really explains the Mandela effect. So how do I get back to this? There we go. All right. I first saw this graphic in the TV show The Flash. And what happens in The Flash is the Flash goes super fast and he goes back in time and he changes some shit and it fucks up all the time going forward. So when he goes back to the future, it's no longer how he remembers it because he altered something back here. And they call it branches of time. So every time he goes back, this is how the timeline that was originally. Then he goes back in time, messes with something. The timeline is now broken from where he messed with something, and then now we're on this timeline. Or he messes with something here, now we're on this timeline. And he in the course of the Flash going back in time and trying to fix everything that he broke by going back in time, he creates all of these alternate timelines. So this is the one the universe intended us to be on. He fucked things up, and so we ended up on one of these. This you also have to. The other thing I probably should have done a show just on this subject alone was, is time travel possible? Is that something that actually happens? 5 years ago, I would have told myself to fuck off that it was not possible. For those that don't know, I quit drinking like 4 years ago. I don't drink pop. I don't drink any sugary stuff at all. I quit drinking energy drinks, although I do have a small little Red Bull, maybe once a month. But I drink iced coffee. This is my crux, and this is what I drink. I drink it all day. Anyways, So time travel, there's different things, and you can look it up. And I do intend on doing a show with this about this. What was I going to say? I got to think. Don't want to stall. This is why I need to make notes. Time travel. It would be the first person that mentioned this machine would have been Bob Lazar on an Art Bell show. And you know what? Stand by. I got to do this again. I can't think of the name. I'm having a brain fart right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the Art Bell every time I have one of these brain farts, because I'm an incompetent podcaster and I didn't make myself notes. And now I'm trying to think on the fly and I'm not smart enough to do it. So I'm going to hit play over there while I do a little Google and figure out this word that I can't think of right now. So here's some Art Bell.
So they won't know you. This will be first time they heard your voice. So I suppose we ought to begin by telling them a little bit about you.
Okay.
No, I'm going to request you to do that.
Oh.
Tell us who you are and why you're doing this.
All right. Well, I guess my journey into all of these unexplained phenomena began back in 1979. I was director of special projects at the CBS affiliate in Denver, had been a television producer for 10 years by then, having graduated from Stanford University with a master's degree in communications, in which I did my master's film on both science and medical projects at Stanford University, and went on in my television career to do live studio programs, documentaries, and news reports about science, medicine, and the environment. And that's what led me in the fall of 1979 to start investigating the strange bloodless deaths of animals, especially cattle, throughout the United States, Canada, and other parts of the world, all found with essentially the same parts taken: an ear missing, an eye taken, the jawbone stripped, sometimes the teeth and jawbone removed in very smooth oval cuts, the genitals removed in male or female almost 100% of the time, and the rectums poured out, and sometimes even the tails of these animals removed in a vertical smooth cut.
Anyways, that show is absolutely incredible. All right. It's called Project Looking Glass. It was first mentioned by Bob Lazar on Art Bell back in 1994 or something like that. And it relates back to, we'll share this. Anyways, Project Looking Glass refers primarily to a persistent popular conspiracy theory alleging that U.S. government military program developed technology to view, simulate, or manipulate future timelines, alternative realities, and probability. Where did I go? Anyways, there I am. Anyways, so this is kind of a big leap, and it's also, you have to have, in my opinion, you have to have a broad spectrum of knowing, or at least being aware of all these different conspiracy theories and different things that you might think are abnormal. And I'm not a flat earth person, but I think a person should know what those people think. I'm on the fence on simulation, but I think you should be aware of it. The time travelers, there's been a few of them on Art Bell that are really interesting. And at one time in my life, I just completely dismissed them. And over the last couple of years, I've revisited them. And I was like, well, you know what? Maybe that ain't so crazy after all. Because let's face it, our world is weird. It's strange. It's really strange. That was the other thing. I was going to start showing some more automotive stuff, some different rat rods and stuff that I worked on over the years. Anyways, my poor planning for this episode, I'll do that hopefully next episode. Anyways, back to conspiracy. So you have all these different things. You have things like Project Looking Glass, and a lot of different government conspiracies over the years where they were manipulating time. You have Trump and Q and that whole thing where you have the books, The Last President by Baron Trump, and these books that were written in the 1800s that, in my opinion, just appeared out of nowhere. Hypothetically, let's say that, the Y-Files has a couple really good episodes on different things about time travel, and if you're interested in learning more about that, that would be a definitely a place to start. The Art Bell episode with Bob Lazar doesn't mention anything about really time travel or anything. However, it's the first time that I know of that Project Looking Glass was mentioned as being a government project that could at least look at the future. Anyways, so we have this whole Trump, and there's conspiracies that he's a time traveler and that our government can do it and different people can do it. And that's one conspiracy on its own. And then we have the simulation theory where reality can be manipulated by, whoever is controlling this reality, or us, or any of that. And I do intend on doing an episode on that because I think I have an interesting perspective on it. But anyways, so we have the simulation theory. We have Project Looking Glass type things where supposedly you can manipulate things in time. But the most interesting thing to me, which is an absolute fact, is we have the Mandela effect. If you don't believe that the Mandela effect is real, you're wrong. You are absolutely wrong. That's not even up for debate. It is 100% real. It's not only me that has seen it in my own pantry, but it's anywhere you look. The only people that don't think it is real are people that haven't, that just dismiss it just because they feel like dismissing something. Anyways, let me get back to this timeline because I want to. So we have Project Looking Glass, and we have potential simulation theory of some sorts, and we have the Mandela effect. So I'm going to make this big. There we go. Anyways, we have our timelines. And if people are able to do the Project Looking Glass type things and go back in time and screw something up here, and then now we're on here, that's what is causing the Mandela effect. Are people going back, I'm assuming our government, going back in time to change things, to prevent things from happening, or to get things to happen a certain way? And is that what's causing the Mandela effect? I don't know. I mean, obviously, there's no way to know it, but it kind of fits. It kind of really fits. I guess I don't know. I don't know what to if you don't believe in, if you just think Project Looking Glass or that sort of thing is just completely impossible, then you can't buy into almost any of this stuff. You have to, I mean, and again, I'm not saying that Project Looking Glass is in fact happening. I don't know. I am, I do know the Mandela effect is real. And to me, that's more evidence that something like Project Looking Glass is real. And also more evidence that we are in fact living in a simulation, because then it all fits. And I don't know. I mean, there's no way for us to prove it. We're just peasants. We're peasants. We don't get to know stuff. We get to sit here and wonder about it and read books and watch videos and watch guys like myself contemplate about these great mysteries that we're in. I do enjoy my coffee though. So I don't know. I mean, I wish I had an audience. This show, I want people to call in and, we could sit and talk about this stuff. Or at least if I had a comment section, I suppose next week, I think I'm going to try to do this actually live. I don't know if I can do that. This one I'm recording, obviously. Next week, I want to do it live, and maybe somebody could tune in. I don't really have a time. I'm trying to do this. I would like to do it ideally at like 7:00 at night, and maybe I'll get there at some point. Right now, I'm doing it because Liz works and she doesn't get home until 7. And now I'm done with work and done with everything, so it's kind of a good time for me to do it. But anyways, I just thought, this whole timeline thing, man, it is it's something. I don't know what it is. These Mandela effects. Fruit of the Loom, that was another big one. Cornucopia. Well, I was just showing. We'll make this bigger. Where'd my tab go? Skechers. Oh, the Fruit of the Loom cornucopia. This is probably the most common, the most well-known Mandela effect. I grew up with my Fruit of the Loom underwear, and it looked like this. That's how I learned the name cornucopia, because I asked my mom, well, what the hell is this in my underwear? Because I, never seen this weird thing. And she said it was a cornucopia. Fruit of the Loom says that no, they never used a cornucopia. It has always looked like this. And it's just complete bullshit. But anyways, this is just absolutely one of the here's another one. The Looney Tunes. Yeah, that's all messed up too. I mean, it's endless. And it's far more than just than logos for corporations. I mean, it's Bible verses, it's statues, it's there isn't an aspect in life where a Mandela, a Febreze, that was a good one. This is how it's supposed to be. This is how it is now. This one supposedly never existed. I remember when this product came out. It was Febreze. I mean, you didn't miss it. It was 2 E's. No, they say no. It was always like this. The Ford emblems have changed. All this different stuff. And it's a huge mystery that just has me absolutely fascinated. And I feel like everybody should be making a big deal about the Mandela effect, because it's such a big deal and weird and strange. And how do you rectify it? How do we make sense of the Mandela effect? I don't know. I have no idea. I told you what I thought, which is the timeline's changing. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's our government and Trump and Q. I don't know. I only know that it's weird. Well, I guess I kind of, I'll definitely do more planning for next week as far as what to talk about. I'm just trying to make sure I get in the habit of getting in here every week and doing what I want to do, which is a talk show podcast. And, if you watch this video, my last video, I think had 9 viewers, 5 of which were probably me, but thank you very much. Please hit the like, please subscribe. Even if you don't like what I'm saying or my audio is shitty or something, just do it, because I really want to continue doing this and progress. And the only way I learn how to do stuff is just by doing it. I just want to take a minute. Thank you for watching. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and we'll. Oh, where did I go? Oh, there I am. Anyways, hit the like, subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you back here next week. And I'll end with a little bit of Art Bell. How's that? Add to stage, and I'm going to get some better music.
At the base of the spine, and in many of the cases, probably another majority excision was the removal of tongues in a very smooth vertical cut deep within the throat of an animal, something that predators do not do. And all of this added up together to a mystery that seemed to have something to do with a contamination perhaps in the environment. And I began the investigation trying to find out if there was some government research project that was examining tissue from animals spread out throughout the United States. But 9 months later, after talking with literally hundreds of people.
One more thing here. Well, I was, for some reason, I thought it was going to be on music on the Art Bell, and it was Linda Moulton Howe talking. But while I have you here, I cannot emphasize how important it is when you watch a video that you read through the comments. This is where all of the good information, maybe not on this one, but you need to read the comments when you watch videos, because you'll be surprised at how many people, like if you're watching as an example, if you're watching a video on, let me make myself a little bigger. If you're watching a video on a UFO event in your state or something, and you start reading the comments, you'll be surprised at how many people saw it, recorded it, or knew something about it. And it's not just UFOs. I mean, it's literally everything. Make sure and read the comments. All the good information is in the comments. Anyways, I'm going to end this here. Thank you very much, and have a good evening.